Hey all, and welcome back to this episode where I'll be giving you a recap and my not so humble opinion of Love is Blind Season 4 Episode 2. If you enjoy this kind of content, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out. Okay, enough of that. Let's get into why you really clicked on this video. Excuse the sound of my voice, I'm recovering from the flu, but I decided to come in and still tell you guys what happened in Episode 2. So at the end of Episode 1, Tiffany fell asleep on Brett in the pod, and we start Episode 2 with Chelsea and April coming into the pod to wake Tiffany up, and Tiffany is KO. She must have had so much to drink the night before, and she totally passed out. They could not wake her up until Chelsea started singing an Usher song, and Tiffany woke up. She was like a mummy straight from the dead. Boom, woke up, started dancing. But yeah, then she realized, oh my gosh, where's Brett? Is Brett still here? And they're like, no girl, Brett is not here. And she felt terrible. And we move on to Jacquelina, who says that her strongest connections are Marshall and Josh. Marshall is sensitive and smooth, calm, sentimental, and she says that's the opposite of who she is, and she wants to look more into that. Josh is a smooth talker, and that's the same strong vibe as Jacquelina. Marshall and Jacquelina have a date. Jacquelina tells Marshall that her Roomba is called Marshall too. She's got human Marshall and robot Marshall, and she's all marshaled out. And Marshall says, not yet. I still want a Marshall Jr. So I know that Jacquelina said that Josh is a smooth talker, but that was smooth. That was smooth to me. So they move on and talk about their childhoods and the kind of parents that they would want to be to their kids. This was really touching because Marshall is quite sensitive, and to imagine the kind of childhood that he had. His father was verbally abusive and was really hard on him. And Jacquelina says that she doesn't have a close relationship with her parents. She can't tell them everything. So, yeah, they bond over, the type of parents that they would want to be when they have kids. Tiffany has a date with Brett, and I wasn't even sure if Brett was going to show up. I was so nervous because of how episode 1 ended. Brett went back into the room with the guys and he was saying he is done. Listen, the look on Brett's face, he was livid. But he did. He showed up. And Tiffany walked into the room and she apologized, gave a speech and everything, and fixed, the problem. She said that his smooth voice is what got her sleepy, and she was so comfortable. And, she apologized. And boom, Brett proposes. So, yeah, things are back on track with these two. I love them as a couple. Next, Kwame says all the good stuff about Chelsea and that she validates him, which is his favorite thing, but he's stuck on Micah and wants to propose. If only Micah would validate him the way that Chelsea does. Kwame is so confused. He is so confused. He's stuck between what he wants and what he needs. On their date, Chelsea breaks his heart and says that they should explore other connections. Kwame switched up so fast. Kwame did not handle this rejection well at all. It went from romance to bromance. He was like, okay, bro, like, peace, deuces, kudos, enjoy your life, bye. It was so shocking. I couldn't believe it. But yeah, this experiment is a lot because after he left the booth, he went back to the men's quarters and he was crying. He was really torn up about Micah saying that they should explore other connections. And Micah is back at the girls' quarters and she tells Irina about it and how he responded or how he reacted to her saying that they should explore other connections. And then he's like, wait, why isn't Amber back yet? How come Paul and Amber are still on a date? He's supposed to have ended things with her, and I went in there, ended it so quickly. why is he still in the pod with her? And yeah, she was worried. So meanwhile, in the pod, Amber and Paul have a date, and Amber is so excited for this date with Paul. She could have sang and danced. She was so excited. And she kept on telling Paul that he's everything that she wants. And every time Amber says something good about him, he can't take it. He's having such a hard time ending things, and eventually he does. Well, as can be expected, Amber does not take the breakup well at all, because it was a complete shock. And Amber goes back to the women's living quarters, and when Micah and Irina see how upset she is, they start laughing. Like, they look at each other and they're holding back laughing. I'm telling you, these two are mean girls. Mean, rotten, mean girls. Paul goes back to the men's living quarters and shares his villain origin story with Kwame. Kwame was so mad because he had no control over his situation, and he felt like Paul had control of whether or not to break someone's heart. And, I think this experiment really gets to you, especially when you have feelings for someone and you have to face rejection and then be in the same house as the person that they rejected you for. So it's just hard. So Micah tells Irina to listen in on Chelsea and Amber's conversation, because Chelsea's comforting Amber after she came in from her date with Paul. She was crying, she was upset, and Chelsea catches them and confronts them about it, and says that girls that act the way that Irina and Micah are acting are girls that are not comfortable with who they are. And when she said this, I just thought, I don't think Kwame and Paul actually deserve Amber and Chelsea. So our first official couple has their big reveal. Yay! It's Tiffany and Brett. And when they see each other, they run towards each other, and the first thing they do is kiss. This experiment is really something, because I understand that you're in the pods and you connect with people emotionally and mentally, and you feel like you really know the person. But this was on another level. It's like they really knew each other. They were so comfortable. It was just amazing to watch. And they sit down and they have a chat, and they're really happy with their physical appearances, and they like each other. So, okay, it worked. Jacquelina and Marshall the Roomba have a date. Marshall the Roomba. Marshall reads his poetry to Jacquelina, and they're enjoying the moment. And out of nowhere, Jacquelina decides to ruin the moment by telling Marshall that she has not broken things with her other connection, and she's finding it hard to do. And Marshall doesn't take it well. He gets mad at the other guy, and he says he's ready to fight. I mean, Marshall, did you forget what show you're on? This is Love is Blind. Why are you mad at the other guy for shooting his shot? Why? So back in the men's living quarters, Marshall confronts Josh, and it's nothing like what I thought. The energy he was giving when he left the pod was he's going to go into the men's quarters and start a fight. He was ready to scrap, and it just wasn't like that at all. So I don't know, the whole thing of him wanting to fight, like, Marshall, that was so off-brand. That's not you. You're not that guy. Kwame and Chelsea have a date, and Chelsea is so sure of herself that she doesn't even focus on Micah. She doesn't focus on Micah breaking things with Kwame. She doesn't focus on how Kwame could still be feeling about Micah. And she is just focused on her and Kwame and the connection that they have. real mature. Paul and Micah have a date, and Paul put on his proposal pants, baby. Before he left the men's quarters, all the men were hyping him up because of these pants. And he feels he really made the right choice, and he proposes, and she says yes. And when he gets back to the men's quarters to tell everyone, they all congratulate him. But baby, Kwame is salty. He does his best to hide it, but you can see it. You can see how salty he is. Bliss is in the kitchen making cupcakes for Zach's birthday. How sweet. I love Bliss. Irina feels confident in what she and Zach have, but she feels bad-ish. I can't read Irina, I can't read her at all. She says she feels bad, but she's all doing this evil laugh of hers. Yeah. And she feels baddish that she didn't get him anything for his birthday. So she asked Bliss for one of her candles. And this is all after laughing and throwing shade at Bliss making cupcakes and all of that for Zach's birthday, saying, oh, she's in the kitchen being all wifey. She was really being mean about it. And it was ick. And Bliss was like, well, why didn't you think of something yesterday? And I just think it's awkward that you're asking me this, and no, you can't have one of my candles. Weird. So next up, Irina and Zach have the most awkward date, because Irina keeps apologizing about not even trying, so she just makes a long speech, and Zach buys it. Zach buys whatever Irina's selling. I'm so tired of Zach. I don't know how he can be such a terrible judge of character. I don't get it. Bliss and Zach have their date, and Zach's whole demeanor is completely different when he walks into the pod and knows that it's Bliss, and he sees the cupcakes, and he's just happy. Whenever he's in the pod having a date with Bliss, his body language is totally different to when he's having a date with Irina. So unfortunately, Irina comes up, and Zach says he can see himself marrying either one of them. So he's still pretty much 50-50 about the two girls at this point, and I don't see how. It's so upsetting to me, because I want him to choose Bliss. I feel like him and Bliss would be amazing together. But he's torn. I don't know why. I don't get it, but he is. And that brings us to the end of episode 2. Thank you for listening to this point. If you enjoyed this recap, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe.